you know, I don't really like to talk about my personal testimony too much. Not because I'm ashamed of it, not because I'm not at all. God has done beautiful, incredible things in my life. Only because often whenever I talk about God online, I never want the focus to too much beyond me. I want to, especially in my content that's very much heavily focused on God. I just want Him to be at the forefront. And I think one of the things that I've had to get more used to as I get older is like, unless somebody abuses and misinterprets and misshows how what their testimony is, a testimony is all about God. It's all about His goodness and His glory and the love that He has shown us. So that's what this is. This is me just telling a little bit about myself, about my testimony, and about what God has done in my life. So whenever I was younger, growing up, we weren't really a Christian household. Now, if you asked my parents who God is, they would have told you. They would have told you, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ is Lord in this house. But we didn't really have a church home. We didn't even really have a church that we went to on Easter and Christmas. But one day, I'm at school. I'm in about the 6th grade, and some kids in the school are passing out these little pamphlets for a lock-in at a local church. And I never heard of a lock-in. I don't even have a lot of memories before then of like going to a church, but I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. They had like all kinds of like fun events and everything, and just the idea of going to this place and we're locked in. It's not a buddy's house. It's not somewhere else. It's just like this building, and then we're gonna be locked in. So I told my parents, and they're like, sure, we'll take you. Gave me some money, and I ended up. That was actually the first time that I had Monster Energy drink. I'm in the 6th grade, and I have, right towards the end of the night, I have 2 big cans of green Monster Energy drink with the twist off kit. I drank them both because I was like, well, I'm getting a little tired. I kind of want to stay up. Ended up like not being able to sleep until like midday the next day. Anyway, so I go to this lock-in, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun events, and something that I encountered there that I think was like the first drop, the first seed planted in my life, was just that these people, the volunteers at this lock-in, they weren't looking to get anything from me, right? They weren't like constantly telling me like, you got to go to this church. This is the church. They were just kind. They were just loving. And I didn't come from a household that wasn't loving. My parents did and do to this day love me dearly. But I had and I have siblings who, because of their own demons and devils and their own decisions that they've made, they didn't always treat me very loving. I have one of my sisters now I'm very close with, but especially then I wasn't. And I felt kind of rejected. Again, my parents love me dearly. I love my parents so much. But it does something to you whenever people who in your life and you've seen in other people's lives you're meant to have a very strong bond with, and you just don't. And it made me wonder, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why? Like, what? Because I think I've always been somebody who, whenever there's an issue in a relationship between me and somebody else, I'm very quick to go, well, it must be an issue with me. Because I think for whatever reason, something ingrained in me wants to see the best in people. I've always had this idea, this thing that I think God has put in my heart of like helping others. And part of that is like seeing people maybe in a brighter light than they deserve sometimes. So in that with my siblings, I thought for a very long time, there's something wrong with me. There's something that where I'm not right, where they don't really treat me like a brother. They simply treat me like somebody they share blood with. So whenever I encountered that love at that lock-in, it was something kind of foreign, where people who by no means did they owe me anything, they showed me this love and they showed me this kindness. And the next day, before I was able to actually go to sleep, I basically, 6th grade May, I basically told my parents we're going to this church. this is gonna be our church. We're going there this Sunday. And actually, to this day, that's the church that I go to. And then after that, partially because of the self-image things, partially because of how I felt, that there was something inherently wrong with me. And because, partially, I've always been a really big kid, and I got nobody else to blame for that but myself. I've had a lot of self-image issues. So even though, we got in the church when I was in the sixth grade and we start going, religiously every Sunday, eventually the thoughts that I had, the feelings that I had, my battle with depression, even from a young age, fast forward a little bit, I'm 13, I was just kind of done. And even though I had felt this love from God, this love from the Christians who were representing him, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that love for myself. And I continued to have these thoughts and these ideas and these feelings that I was not worthwhile. And I was done. And my mom, she's always had issues sleeping. So she had prescription sleeping pills. And I knew because previously, whenever I'd have like really rough nights where I just wasn't sleeping well, I remember one time she gave me like half of one. And that just put me on my butt. Like I slept like 12 hours that night. It was crazy. So I had the thought, I was like, yeah, I'm done. And I knew how strong those were. And I was trying to think in my 13-year-old mind, what can I do? What can I do to just make this pain that I'm feeling stop? So I thought, I'm laying there in bed one night, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go downstairs, and I'm gonna take all the pills in the prescription pill bottle, and that'll do it. So right then, immediately, as soon as I have that thought, I go downstairs, I say goodnight to my parents, I grab the pills, take them. They're watching TV, so I think they just didn't hear me, and why would they think anything was off? I take the pills, and I make my way upstairs. And I remember I was really scared, and I was really nervous, and I was deeply regretting what I had done. And I get back in bed, and something I didn't realize until later is that I laid back in bed exactly as I had been laying whenever I had the thought to go do it. And I wasn't just laying in bed, head on pillow. I used to have a TV at the end of my bed where I would play video games. And I would lay, like many of us have, I'm sure, on my stomach, sitting up like that, pillow kind of under me to keep me up. And I got back in bed just like that, which was odd. But as soon as I got back in bed, I woke up. And I was like, what? What did it not work? What's going on? And I go downstairs, and the pills are there. And what I thought for a moment was like, oh my gosh, this miraculous thing has happened. I took the pills, but then God undid it. But I think what actually happened, and by I think this is what I know happened, and I think it's equally as miraculous, is that for whatever reason, okay, and I can't tell you why this happened for me, and it doesn't happen for other people who unfortunately do go down the stairs that night. But what happened was, I had those thoughts, I had that plan, and I was going to do it. And then I'm asleep, and I'm not just asleep to the point where I'll just wake up the next morning. I'm asleep, and I'm having this incredibly hyper-realistic dream where I fully thought I was awake. And God let me, for whatever reason, experience this dream where I do the thing that I thought I wanted to do, and I feel the regret. And I feel the regret, and I don't know what to do, and I was scared. And then I just wake up, and it's the next morning, and the sun is shining, and the birds are chirping, and And I genuinely believe that was God telling me, like, no, no, you don't, it doesn't end here. And it didn't. And I'd love to tell you that the rest of my journey with God was nothing but glowing rays and sunshine, but it wasn't. I had a lot of unpacking and a lot of dealing still to do with my own self-image and what I would do for the approval of others. A lot of partying in high school and post, just because I could, because I was always the big guy. So I could drink more and I could smoke more and I could take more of whatever than the other people could and still be cognizant and still be fun and funny. And from a young age, I so deeply wanted people to like me and care for me, so I would be funny. And I've been funny for a lot of my life. And it's not that being funny is a bad thing, but I think sometimes you can do a good thing for the wrong reasons. But yeah, so I go throughout high school and post, and I'm drinking and I'm smoking and I'm doing all kinds of things I know I shouldn't. Like I said earlier, I had very poor self-image issues. I thought nobody would ever find me attractive. I thought I was this. I really did, as hyperbolic as it may sound. I thought I was like this beast. I thought I was this ugly thing. And then, whenever I realized I wasn't, that there were some women that found me attractive, I kind of did the wrong thing. I did something that I most certainly shouldn't have, which is I really took advantage of social media at the time to just have as many online girlfriends as I could, and to do things that I knew I shouldn't have. And there's something that the enemy does, which often we have this idea that like sin, whether it's lust or whether it's greed or whether it's whatever, whether it's gluttony, whether it's drunkenness, we have this idea that sin is like this ugly devil. But a wonderful work of the enemy, and I don't mean wonderful in the way that it is good, I mean wonderful in the way that it is successful, is that sin feels good. And it's not until after that you realize, what have I done? And in the midst of all of that, of all of the depravity, we'll say, I was working, and this is funny, I was working the job that I had. I was a custodian at a church for about 4 or 5 hours a week every Sunday. And I was just applying to like whatever jobs I could. It was a nothing job. I was making no money. It was just something to show my parents, like, look, I'm working. It's fine. Like, I don't want to go to school. I'm working. It's fine. So I'm applying all over. And then one day I get a call. I'm in the restroom and I get a call from a woman and she says, Ben, you applied at, Powerhouse. You applied at this before and after school care program. And I was like, sure I did. I would just go through Indeed and click. And I was like, sure I did. What I had forgotten was that the church that I attend, they have a sister school, and one of the sister school locations is right attached to the church. And that school has a before and after school Christian program. So I was like, great, this place is right down the road. I go up there for the interview, get it. I get the job pretty much immediately. I've always loved kids. Kids have always liked me. I've always been very good at interacting with them. And this is 2018. And as I start dealing with the kids, then, we had like Christian curriculum to teach the kids. I've never been of the mindset that like kids are stupid. I think sometimes we can act like kids are dumb. And it's like, no, kids just don't know as much as you do. So whenever a kid asks you a question, often it's a genuine question. And especially whenever it comes to questions about God or about the Bible or about Christianity. So I wanted to learn more about my faith that I had long since not taken very seriously. I wanted to learn more about it. So I started actually reading my Bible more and watching videos online more and just learning more so I could have actual answers to these children's questions and not just brush them off, not just give them empty platitudes. So I started doing that, and the job went well. And while I was working there, I DM'd this, well, no, because she'll see this. A girl DM'd me on Instagram, a beautiful, beautiful woman. And I know that God put her in my life because being with her and being in the job that I was at, it made me realize just how bad I was being, just how bad I was. And I started, well, because I had this girl in my life, I didn't need all these other girls. And because I had this thing, this growing faith within me, it was no longer this dead faith that wasn't producing any fruit. It was this growing faith that I was watering with the word and watering with learning about my God. Less and less did I do the drinking and the smoking and the things that I knew I shouldn't have been. And eventually, fast forward a couple of years, I'm no longer working at the before and after school care program. I'm making videos online because I was always a really anti-TikTok guy. I was like, I'm not doing it. And then all of a sudden I did it and I started making videos. And this was before I was making Christian content. It was whenever I was in this phase of my life where I was very political. And man, the videos were doing well. I had videos with over 20 million views, 5, 7, 12. But I eventually came to my wife one day and I was like, I'm just not happy. I'm making these videos, these stupid, whether it's political videos or dark humor, because I can have a dark humor side of me. And I was leaning into it for that. And I was like, but I'm just not happy. I record these videos and I stop and I'm just like, oh. And my wife, my beautiful wife, she looks at me and she goes, well, what makes you happy? And I was like, well, my faith does. And she just simply goes, well, why don't you make videos about that? And then that was it. I just started making videos about my faith. And I didn't think it would go anywhere. And it did. And God has since used in times past, he used donkeys to talk, and now he's using me. But God is so good. And his glory is so mighty and so just that he can pull any of us out of the pigsty, out of the slop, to help reflect his light. So from all this, I realize I've been talking for almost 20 minutes now. I hope from all this blabbering and rambling, your focus is not on me and who I was and what I did, but your focus is on even me, who did things that nobody should. God can still use me. And he is good. And he is beautiful. And he's here. And I hope you know him. But even if you don't, God loves you. I love you. And I appreciate you watching. God bless, my friend.